Hi there, and welcome to our Mario Kart Tracker website. This website basically allows us to rank ourselves against a bunch of people who are kind of in a web of rankings, so that even if we haven't necessarily faced them, if the people that we have faced them, we are actually still able to rank ourselves. So as you can see here, we're in about a web of 8 people, and this is our scores against them and our respective ranks. But if you look at our history, we've actually only played 2 games, one against Pete and one against Yeet. But despite that, we have actually been able to insert ourselves in this much bigger system. So let's look at basically how this looks from the user perspective. So if we want to add a score against someone, we're going to try and insert some new person into our web. So we're going to have a game against example, and we're going to enter our score against them. We're going to say that this was a utter blowout, 75-19, and that this happened in, let's just give it 07/22 of the year 2018. And let's post that for verification. So if we look, we're going to see that actually this hasn't been approved yet in history because this game hasn't been approved by the person whose score we submitted it to. So as you can see, we've actually sent a couple of scores, and we're going to imagine that the person, example, who we submitted these scores to is going to call us up and say, sorry, this isn't allowed. We didn't actually lose the game by this much in game code number 21. So we can actually remove it on our end and then clear it so it can't get approved anymore, and then we only have those two. So now let's see how this looks from example's point of view. So if we look at them right now, they sit by themselves because they're not in a big web yet. But look, we have 2 scores that are pending their approval, so they can be inserted into this web against everyone who Dick has played and everyone who they have played. So let's say that we are looking and we think that this game that happened in the year 2000 is actually fake. We can actually reject that by entering its game code, remove. But we're going to be honest, and we're going to say that that this game number 20 actually did happen. So here it is. We're going to submit that for approval. So now if we look at our history, we've only played 1 game, but despite that, we can actually be ranked against everyone, and we can even filter this down for time. So imagine we only want this to be in games that were played between January 20th of the year 2000 and January 20th of the year 2001. We can do so. And since we didn't play anyone in that section, we're actually going to be left alone again. Now back to my roommate to explain some of the code that went into that.
So now let's look at the math behind our ranking system. So in order to do our ranking, we start with a matrix that includes every single user that is in our system. And then we fill in our matrix with all the game data that we've collected within the selected date range, and fill in this matrix to create a long system of equations. And then using ideas from Math 21B and linear algebra, we can put this matrix into reduced row echelon form such that we can actually see the different scores for each player. And then we can identify patterns in this new matrix to show which players are within the same spider web of games. So we can see here that all these players are in the same spider web of games, so they can be ranked relative to each other, whereas these players here are in a different spider web of games, so that these scores, these 2 versus the rest, are insignificant because they have no shared games. And then our program creates a list of the usernames and their scores of all the connected players, so in this case, example, to be reinserted back into the HTML. Thank you for learning about our program and our website. Have a happy Thanksgiving.